Pinkertons Ghosts is a horror anthology podcast by Superversive Radio, with no affiliation with any detective agency, person, real or imagined, or the dark forces of Outre-Terre. It is not intended for children.
Pinkerton's Ghosts, Hard Time, Part 2, The Tomb, with Tom Stretcher. I stepped out into another world, a place beyond time. Brass metal ramps without railings ran left and right, and then split and branched into new paths and stairs, crossing over and under each other like an Escher drawing. Clockwork gears were everywhere, relentlessly ticking and clicking, meshed in intricate designs like the transmission of the gods. Cables, belts, chains, pipes, wires connected the whole vast machinery together in a tangled, moving web of endless complexity. The sounds of ticking, clicking, and clanking were everywhere. A mechanical percussion set where the different beats merged, split, and emerged again, all in time to the ticking of my ring. The whole din didn't drown out and in raw noise, but came together in a complex order, an order I almost grasped. It was just out of reach. I was sure that if I concentrated and studied it, I could come to understand it all. If only I listened just a little longer. I shook my head, clearing the spell. The massive vault door had just finished swinging shut behind me, and the locking mechanisms were ticking and clicking rhythmically. Each heavy bolt slammed home in time to the mechanized tempo of the place, locking the time vault. The world I once knew and this place separated with the last bolt. I could feel it. The two worlds had separated in a flash, and now nothing, nowhere, and no time were on the other side of that door. Even if I could force it open, there was nowhere and no when to go. Beyond that lay only the outer darkness. Looking around again, I tried to understand the vast mechanical labyrinth I was trapped in. There seemed to be no far wall. The mechanical monstrosity seemed to go on forever, with the dim bulk of vast cryptic machines looming in the distance like grim brassy skyscrapers. Light came from above, a hazy, pale, grayish light, with rays squeezing through the gaps in machinery and illuminating the drifting vapors of the air. Below, the clamoring machinery descended into smoky darkness, lit only by flashes of gear or flame. There was no way the cognomen built this place. I can't see how they understand or operate it either. They're just more cogs in a vast and uncaring machine. I picked a direction and wandered off. Assuming that the maze didn't actually shift, finding my way couldn't be worse than that mission to Minos. And I figured I should be able to find my way, eventually. Walking along the winding metal ramp, I found myself getting submerged by the mechanical music of the place that was not a place. My heart had already been beating in time with it. Soon my walk and my breathing were in sync too, the beat of my cane forming a counterpoint harmony. The hum of the great machine and the click of the gears seemed to fill my mind, putting me into a fugue state. So, I didn't even notice the mechanical monstrosity until I nearly bumped into it. A brass clockwork giant of gears and brass spars loomed ahead of me on the path. I stopped, startled, and so did it. It had just been clanking along in time to the colossal clockwork, ignoring me, as I had ignored it, until I stopped and interrupted the regular progress of the place. It turned a head of misshapen gears and compound glass lenses to stare at me. Lenses rotated in its gearwork to focus on me as it leaned in. Spinning metallic drills on the tips of its fingers extended and began to whir into motion, spinning into a gleaming blur. Enough. I didn't want to make any more commotion, but there was no way to negotiate or bluff a clockwork robot. As the thing lumbered at me, I drew my .45 and fired, each bullet going out in time with the unearthly clock. There's no way bullets were going to seriously break a mechanical monster like this, so first I shot out the glass compound lenses, blinding the thing. I ducked under its lunge, and then went after the same weak point that I've got as a large man, the knees. Firing twice into each joint, I heard some kind of cable snap loose. The overbalanced metal monster teetered on the edge of the walkway, and then tumbled out of sight into the endless grinding gears of the vast machinery below. I caught my breath for a few seconds, and let the clockwork ring bring my breath and heart rate back to the metronome pattern of this place. I got lucky, but I can't risk fighting another one of those monsters. The answer is to move along in time with the relentless, maddening ticking and clicking of the place. The metal monster only even noticed me when I stopped and broke the rhythm. That's the answer. The mindless mechanical automations of this place can't tell if I'm a friend or foe. They can probably only tell if I'm a cog that meshes with the surrounding machinery, or a glitch to be removed. So, I was gonna have to let the ring take charge, measuring my pace and moving through the giant clockwork. I focused on the elevator that Jack described, and let my feet take me through the doomsday clock at a steady pace to the end. After an exact measure of time, bypassing other clockwork automations, I came to the elevator. It was a cage affair with brass bars and fencing running around on an open, gleaming rail with a complex gearwork above the roof and below the floor. I opened the cage doors easily, and within a pair of marble cherub statues. You know the kind, little babies with wings. Actually, those aren't cherubs. Those were Greco-Roman putty in keeping with the Greek decor that Jack described. I got in and closed the cage door and tried not to think about the flimsy-seeming construction of the elevator and the terrible drop below. It was a thing of balance and beauty, but I knew better than to trust it. Where were the controls? It took me a moment to remember what Jack described. Had there been cherubs in his elevator? The letter opener was vibrating. I inserted it into a slot in the control panel. The light above the black circle covered and felt lit up. "Take me to the heart," I ordered. Immediately, the elevator dinged and began to drop down the rails with a whine of gearwork. Level after level of endless mechanical world rolled by. When I turned to face the statues, the nearest cherub was facing me, smiling, with a tear of blood running from its sightless marble eyes. I shuddered and turned to face the endless impersonal machinery instead. The elevator stopped after racing up and down and sideways through an endless maze of machinery. I was beyond lost. There was no possible way to trace my way back, and yet I knew exactly where I was with mechanical precision. The heart. As I opened the mechanical cage and walked out, the vast, 100-foot-tall Greek temple loomed down at me from a step of marble stairs. Each of the 12 columns were accompanied by marble idols of Greek gods, each bearing black weapons such as a thunderbolt, a spear, or a trident. I don't know what was more intimidating, the imposing temple edifice or all the stairs I'd have to climb to get there. Beside me, the idols of Hades and Persephone flanked the doors, and the idol of Hades turned and faced me. "Why hast thou come unto the heart of time, O mortal?" he asked. His lips never moved. There was no sound at all, but the icy, cold, remorseless voice still drilled into my head with the silver pain of a dental drill. The voice, as well as having an active eidolon up in my mug, threw me off my balance, but I recovered soon enough. I felt like I was in a masked Greek tragedy, one where everybody had played their parts so many times that the words and actions were entirely rote, with enough repetition to make an immortal mad. All my fear vanished, and I felt a calm certainty I'd never felt before, probably will. "I seek the heart of Kronos," I declared. I think it was me. "It is forbidden for a mortal to pass the timeless door and venture unto the halls of time," his icy voice drilled back. "I am redeemed by the true king," my answer came back from somewhere. "Thus, even time itself shall be defeated in the end, along with death. Dare not bar my way, Hades." "Thou art pert, Thomas Strachas." Uh-oh, the thing knew my real name. "Know that this is neither the hour nor the day." It groaned with immortal dread. "We may not allow you to access the door whilst the heart is within, nor can we help you retrieve the heart whilst it is without." "Explain yourself," I demanded. Yeah, actually demanded. I must have been nuts. "The heart is both within and without the temple of Kronos at various times, and it exists in all time, like a headless and tailless serpent coiled upon itself. Follow the track of the heart through its body of time." The thing ground to a halt, silent. Coming back to myself, I eventually stopped shaking and returned to the elevator. For a brief moment, I saw Jack Morrow, along with a thin guy dressed all in black. Then they were gone, and I saw a copy of the elevator race along the rails. "Follow that car," I ordered. And then it was off, racing through the endless clockwork to who knows where. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together at last. This place wanted to keep outsiders out, but with the cogwheel ring, I could pass as part of the human machinery of the place unless I did something to disturb it all. Hades wanted me to take the heart out of here so it could be offered to him, but he was constrained from helping or directly telling me, so he gave me a hint. By following Jack's time trail, I could follow to where he saw the heart. Then I could follow the trail of the heart till I had a chance to grab it. The trail led me through the labyrinth of time. Jack and his companions skipped forward and backward through time, as great wounds were opened in the very skin of time itself where they slipped through. I could feel the damage as it was being done to time, and also feel it healing. And when it had already been healed before it was damaged in the first place. I don't know how to describe it other than I was a part of the time of that place, and in some ways the times and places of that place, I was losing myself to it all. There wasn't much time before I was lost. There was only an eternity awaiting me. I came to the battle between Jack and the mysterious figure in black, and watched them jump forward and backward in time, leaving shadows of themselves that were then more than shadows as they walked between the frozen bullets of their gunfire. I saw the first one fall into the gears, and then the battle between Jack and the thin cognomen as they struggled to possess the heart. I knew it was the heart of Kronos, the very heart of time itself. I could feel time curdle around it as it set the metronome beat of this world, the way such a thing could be abused. Finally, the cognomen seized the heart and fell into a cylinder of rapidly spinning clockwork to be shredded alive. Still he kept his death grip on the heart. Then the heart skipped and spun off, falling into the steamy darkness far below. Jack just kind of flickered and disappeared. For a moment I saw him change in the flickering. For an instant he was in black robes, holding a long dagger, his face contorted with rage. For another instant he was in a Samson power suit, and then another, and another, and then finally he was gone. I shook my head. I didn't have time, and I had all the time in the world. Where did the heart go? I stepped back in time and space until I could see it again. The cognomen reassembled from a spray of blood and gore in the spinning blades, and then as I stepped forward, he was shredded again. I could follow the path the heart took. I was getting used to this. Maybe I shouldn't. There are some things no one should get used to. I followed the twisting, coiled path that the heart had left as it fell through the machinery of the infinite clockwork. It left a warping, a disturbance. In time, I could feel, and I could hear it ticking now. A steady beat in perfect time with the tomb of Kronos, but also distinct, like it was the master gear upon which all relied. The time tomb grew darker as I descended into the lower levels. Flares of dim red and violet light lit up the murk from below. Blasts of steam and smoke were everywhere, while skyscraper-sized weights and pendulums moved slowly with relentless weight. All around me were serpentine designs in brasswork, generally a bad sign in my experience. A serpent coiled around an egg, another around the world, a multi-headed hydra, the Ouroboros sign of a serpent devouring its tail, and a figure-8 serpentine symbol for infinity. Following the twisting tail of the heart grew easier as I came closer in time and space. I began to blur, my movements seeming hazy and blurred as I saw all the parts of my steps superimposed over one another and blurred. When I would pause and think about what to do next, the blur would grow and spread as each thing I was considering began to separate out into its own image, only to snap together as one, once I decided what to do. Or did I? What if those other me's split off and went their own way instead? I shook my head. I'd been down here too long. If I spent down here too long, I'd be lost in time forever. I spun and drew my 1911. Facing me, down the catwalk, was one of the clockwork cognomen with a drawn pistol. Neither of us fired. The other figure was blurry, but I could make out he was tall and clothed entirely in black, just as the cognomen wear. I took a slow step forward, and he did likewise, blurring closer. As he came together momentarily, I could make out more. He was an old man with a white beard and a crazy look in his single eye, the other covered by an eye patch. He was sweating under his black hat and rested one hand on a cane for support, while he held a Browning M 1911 .45 steady in his other hand. He was me. Or was he? Could he be a doppelganger to assassinate me, or an illusion to mislead me? Was this a time duplicate from the future or an alternate time? If I kill him, what would happen to me? If I don't die first, would he kill me? Dozens of combat scenarios flashed through my head, and my mirror began to blur and then diverge into different men, some lowering their weapons while others aimed and began to squeeze the trigger. Time didn't seem to stand still. It actually did. No breath, no heartbeat, no more ticking of the endless clock, just me and destiny. An animal will attack its reflection in a mirror, unable to recognize itself. What am I? A man. I decided, and the blurred image came together as one and time resumed. I lowered my pistol, ready to be shot in the head by a .45 caliber hollow-point slug. My duplicate lowered his pistol, and then flickered away. I let out my breath, and then continued on down, following the serpentine path of the heart. Finally, at the bottom level, the end of the line. There was one more level below, but look! Ask a child what the foundation of their school looks like. It's something to them. They know it exists, but can they communicate to it? No, I have to focus on the boilers. Boiler doesn't describe the monstrosities looming around me. The smallest ones are the size of the Superdome, and the air shivered with heat, smoke, and steam, with the flames behind grilled windows and various walls. The black murk of the smoky place was lit only by the flaming grills and blasts of distant fires. The constant ticking of clockwork almost drowned out the roar of flames and the rumble of the broilers. But nothing can truly stop the ticking. The oppressive sound rumbled through the stone floor in my bones, while the oppressive heat, humidity, and smoke made it almost impossible to breathe. That wasn't the worst of it, though. All around the vast boiler drums, clockwork automation served the hungry, flaming maws of the coal boxes, endlessly manning giant steam shovels of coal. Except it wasn't coal. The rocks that were the fuel for this vast machine glowed with soft blue light, and it screamed as it was consumed by the flames, briefly turning the fires violet before the screams were quenched and the fires returned to smoke-shot blood red. I hate this place. I hate that it can even exist at all. The distortion of the heart of Kronos was strong down there, easy to follow. I could not avoid hearing and feeling the pulse of each tick, each heartbeat echoing out from the heart in waves of time. I followed the tick, beating, booming pulse of the heart until I saw it under the curve of one of the mammoth boilers. The heart gleamed with light reflected off of its metal from light that wasn't there in that dark, murky boiler room. It was light from another time, another place that reflected off its facets, faces, and cogs, all in motion, ticking relentlessly away, softly in sound, thunderous in my mind. I saw it laying there, ticking, rocking, as if trying to roll off into a new destination from where it was wedged. I saw it fall from above, bounce in a cascade of sparks, and then roll to where it was, will be. I saw it recovered by clockwork automations and then carried away reverently on a palanquin thrown by two brazen poles. I waited, picked my time, moving forward to the time when it was just lying there, before it was recovered by the servants of the time tomb. I reached out and took hold of the heart of Kronos. At long last, I held the very heart of time in my grasp.
Pinkerton's Ghosts is a podcast distributed by Superversive Radio, licensed under an attribution non-commercial, share-alike international license. This episode was written by David Halquist and was performed by the same. Ben Wheeler edits, directs, produces, and herds cats. Kid Dickerson performs our audio editing. Visit us on Facebook, read articles on superversivesf.com, or listen to us on unauthorized Acast, iTunes, or Spotify. Contact us through Twitter at @PinkertonsGhosts, email us at pinkertonsghosts@gmail.com, or send us noble messenger possums with messages strapped to their backs. Don't worry, they know how to find us. Thank you for listening, and good luck.